Hey, great to have you here, and welcome back to another S.H. Figuarts Dragon Ball video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new Nail that got announced from the Namek Saga. So I'm a little late on this. By the time this video gets posted, he's probably already up for pre-order, so keep that in mind that on Premium Bandai, this guy's going to be available. But we're just going to walk through some of the photos we have here of him and just share my thoughts overall on this figure release. As a quick reminder, if you enjoyed talking about this kind of stuff, I would really appreciate you subscribing to the channel. It would really mean a lot. Thanks, and back to the video. So starting things off, looking at the first photo that we have here of Nail, it's kind of your just typical portrait view of him with just a stoic face with his arms behind his back. As far as the aesthetic here, I feel like they really hit the mark with what Nail looks like. We have him with the scarf around his neck and the vest piece as well. It looks like that's going to be maybe a soft plastic. We'll have to look at the details later on, but maybe kind of your more rubbery plastic that you can probably take off and put back on him as well. And I think they nailed the first look here of him. He kind of looks like Piccolo, obviously. He's a Namekian. He's going to have similar features to Piccolo, but I feel like the extra accessories included here definitely represent Nail in a strong way. So looking at the second photo here, not much change overall. It's just kind of the first photo, but from a farther away vantage point. The first photo is typically kind of your zoomed in version. This is kind of the zoomed out version of things. So not much really to call out here other than the whole body's represented here. So cool aesthetic to Nail. Obviously we get the white pants, which is kind of a cool touch for Nail. We get the pointy shoes. Obviously he had the Namek Saga. And then jumping onto the next photo we have here. So overall, I really like this one. So he's kind of more with that teeth gritting face, but I feel like it's a little bit different than what they've done in the past. It feels like his teeth are showing a little bit more white than they've shown in the prior iterations of teeth gritting faces. And I think it really works here and is a pretty cool face overall to include. This is definitely one I would consider putting on him as my default figure for him. So just a cool image of him powering up potentially against First Form Frieza here and just trying to buy time for the rest of the Z Warriors ultimately here. So not much really to call out other than that. We obviously get the typical articulation for the lower body represented here and showing off the full body view as well, once again, without the vest piece. So yes, it does seem like that vest can come off, and you can just have him with his bare chest as well here. Now in this photo, we have a bit of a grappling hand as well as a blasting attack hand. So some variety there, but the faceplate's the same and just kind of a different altering pose of him, twisted a little bit more. And then looking at the next photo, we've gotten this viewpoint with Piccolo, I feel like previously as well. Just a different faceplate here with him more of an attacking face and just charging at somebody and lunging at them and trying to take them out ultimately. So maybe him fighting some of the Frieza Force ultimately here. So then moving on to the next photo we have here, and this is probably the inclusion that I think most people are going to be interested in and maybe why Nail winds up selling more than he could have otherwise. We have him with a bit of a battle damaged face, like he's been just attacked recently, he's trying to recover. And then on the right hand side with his arm, we have his hand and his forearm regrowing. So obviously Namekians, typically when they get missing limbs, they can just regrow those. So we have Frieza grabbing his forearm and ripping it off, and we have Nail regrowing it here. So kind of a cool visual, kind of that more translucent paint that we have on him where you can see somewhat through it because it's still in the regrowing process. So cool visual and accessory to include here. And I feel like this is going to be a big selling point to why people pick up this Nail because we've gotten not much like this in the past. We obviously got the proud Namekian Piccolo that had the arm with the purple blood coming out of it. But this is the first time we get a regrowth arm as well. So cool inclusion here. I'm imagining you can probably take this arm and put it on your Piccolo even if you wanted. So that's a big selling point for a lot of people there. So yeah, this is the photo that I imagine most people are going to be interested in replicating in the future. And then moving on to the next picture we have here. So we have him laying on the ground, pretty much dead and defeated by Frieza. And we get a different faceplate here. Him pretty much just being lifeless at this point in time, just laying on the ground. And Piccolo coming up and trying to fuse with him here. So not a bad pose here as far as what you want to represent on your shelf, as far as putting Nail in some position that's iconic. This or against First Form Frieza are probably the two options I would consider if you're not just having him with this general, just standing on the shelf pose. So then beyond that, let's see what we have here. So yeah, we have him fighting First Form Frieza, and this is right before he gets his forearm taken off. And he has a yelling face here as well. I don't know if we got this yelling one previously. It looks kind of like the one we had when his arm was regrowing, but this one feels a little bit more in shock and in pain. So I'm thinking there's some variety with the faceplates. It's hard to tell some small differences sometime in these photos that they give us, but cool visual here with him just being totally off guard with Frieza's power and ripping his arm off. So once again, this is definitely a pose you could have him in on your shelf with First Form Frieza. And that winds up wrapping up the photos that we did get for Nail. So as far as some of the details to include here, as I mentioned, by the time this video is probably posted, he's available for pre-order on Premium Bandai. April 4th, early in the morning is when he's up for grabs. So definitely check him out if you're interested. Some of the details to keep in mind, though, this guy's an $80 figure, so a little bit pricier than I would have hoped, but I'll talk a little bit more about that. Some of the details, let's make sure we don't miss anything. So as far as the text they include here, so yes, we have to mention that the cloak's made of the soft parts and is also removable. Obviously, we got that in the photos. It talks a little bit about the variety with some of the faceplates that we have included here with the clenched teeth as far as the defeated face. And then the big thing to call out, as I mentioned, is the arm part that they mentioned is included with a clear material that can be used for the following scene, which Nail regenerates the arm that Frieza has ripped off. So recapping what all comes with him, we have the main body, the exchangeable left and right hand pieces, so 3 types for that. Exchangeable head pieces, 4 types for that. The exchangeable right arm parts and an exchangeable scarf. So I'm curious when it says exchangeable scarf, does that mean the white piece around his neck can come off? Because I'm not sure it's removed in any of these photos. So interested to see what actually they mean there. I feel like I would have assumed they meant the cloak, but it says scarf. So maybe that white piece can come off as well and just have him just with kind of a bare-chested Namekian. But yeah, as I mentioned, this guy is probably the coolest release that we've gotten in quite some time. We've gotten a lot of Daima releases recently, and I'm more of a Z fan, so this is more up my alley, so keep that in mind. But honestly, despite Nail being somewhat of a more minor character, I feel like a lot of what they include here is definitely up my alley and definitely hits the mark for a lot of what I'm looking for in some of these Figuart figures. I mean, just looking at the first photo we have of him, he definitely looks like Nail from the show, and that big inclusion of that arm, I'm going to say it 1,000 times, is going to be a big selling point for this guy. Whether they want to have it here with Nail or if they want to put it on Piccolo's arm, it's going to be something that people want. But I will say, it looks like that piece attaches kind of halfway down his arm, so I'm not sure we're going to be able to use it with Piccolo unless you take the entire arm piece off of your prior Piccolo releases. So be careful with that. I'm not sure it's intended to be used with Piccolo, so if you wind up tweaking some things, just be mindful of what you're doing as far as swapping out pieces, because it doesn't seem necessarily intended for that purpose. So this may be more Nail specific, even if it can be used for somebody like Piccolo. And then looking at that $80 price point, that's kind of the hindrance for me. It feels like somewhat of a niche character. Obviously, if you have a Namek Saga, he definitely makes sense to include with that. And the extra accessories are awesome inclusions here. He looks like the character. He's well represented. I'm not really sure what else I would want in a Nail figure, so they pretty much cover their bases as far as the actual figure itself. But I was honestly hoping this guy would be more like the $60 price point, because he is somewhat of a less important character, and I'm not sure that smaller arm piece is really worth, I don't know, 20 bucks or so. Feels like the prices are kind of continuing to rise, so it's kind of what to expect at this point. But unfortunately, I was hoping more of a $60 price point than the $80 that we are getting here. But he's a worthwhile figure in my opinion. So for the price, I feel like it's a little steep, but if we're talking about just the figure itself, I feel like it's a worthwhile pickup and probably one of the better releases that we've gotten in the past couple of years. So let me know your guys' thoughts. Is this somebody that you're going to add to your collection? Is the price point kind of a deterrent for you? Or is the Namek Saga inclusion of Nail really important, and those extra accessories really kind of take things home for you personally? So share all your thoughts down below in the comments on this guy. Let's talk all things Dragon Ball Figuarts. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to talk to you again soon.